Thaigo Motta ball is not vertical. It's not fast. It's not fun to watch.
Welcome back, everybody. Well, Juventus, they've been a bit of a mixed bag, haven't they, so far this season? On one side of it, they are unbeaten in the league. They beat Manchester City in the Champions League, which was obviously an epic result at the time. Now, this Manchester City, maybe we're not so sure how much of a silver lining that was, but still a great result nonetheless. And they have got the second best defence in Serie entering the weekend. Only 12 goals they've conceded. On the other side of things, though, they have got a bunch of draws, the most of any team in Europe's top 5 leagues. They're winless in their last 4, and that included a 2-2 draw at home against last place Venezia, which they needed to go down to the absolute wire. They kind of needed to be bailed out in that game, didn't they? So when you look at Juve, what are you thinking, boys? Is the glass half full or is it half empty right now?
Mr. Grinch, why don't you start off?
No, the Grinch is for after Christmas, no?
Or with you, it comes before.
Steals all the presents.
Listen, the way I look at it is like this, right? Because I think you have to be realistic and you have to be honest with your approach to this, right? Let's put Champions League football aside. Juventus is not winning the Champions League. Can we agree on that?
Yeah. Why would you put it on the side?
Juventus is not winning the Champions League.
Have to consider it, though.
But we're covering Serie A today, so we got to talk Serie A.
Why do you think they're going to win the Champions League?
They have 6 wins. No, they can't win the Champions League. Okay. We know that they can't win the Champions League. They have 6 wins in the Serie A. What's today? It's the 2-3 days before Christmas. Yeah. We're talking about December. They have 6 wins. I'm going to tell you who they won against: Como, Verona, Genoa, Udinese, Torino, all outside the top 10. When you look at the league, it's split right now, like I said yesterday. In the top 8, there's 8 very good sides that are competing for Europe and competing for the Scudetto. Well, 3 probably competing for the Scudetto. And there's 12 competing for relegation. That the level drops off. There's 2 tiers in the Serie A at this moment in time. They haven't beat 1 team in the top tier. All they've done is draw. Now, they brought in they made a younger team. They spent some money. They believed in Thaigo Motta, and that's fine. And we all agreed that they had to move on from Allegri, right? But what they've done now is have the most possession in the league, right? Side to side and back and predictable and slow, right? Just like we saw Thaigo Motta at Bologna last season. Where they rank in shots and target, 10th and 11th.
But they've conceded the least amount of goals.
10th and 11th. So you have the most possession in the league, but you never shoot, and you never shoot on the target.
Grella, because you were just talking about Tottenham a minute ago.
So where's the verticality? Where's the danger?
But where's the comparison with other teams? Because you just said about Ange Postecoglou, why isn't he being defensively sound? Forget the attack, focus on the defensive side of things. That's exactly what Juventus have done. They've only conceded 12 goals and they're unbeaten. So isn't that
They sacked Allegri
better?
because he was only worried about the defensive side of the game.
You just said to put Allegri aside because we all agreed that he shouldn't be there. That's number 1. But number 2, we know nobody. I don't think there's any Juventus fan in the world that will say that they're happy at this point. Juventus is a work in progress. The scary thing is that in the final third, they have lacked a lot of ideas. They've lacked creativity. Within games, you expect them to do a lot more, especially with the players coming in. They did make they're the second youngest team in Serie A, and I think that you could see that a few times. Thaigo Motta is focused on not being beaten, and you could also look at Atalanta as an example, where they have 3 losses, but they're higher up in the table. So there are probably times where he could have overexposed himself to try to get the win because you're going to get more points. But we also have to take into consideration everything, that this is a new team, new philosophy, so many injuries. He himself has not put the blame on the injuries, but you have Weston McKennie playing as a left back today. You had Locatelli playing as a center back midweek. So those are also the facts. This team is a work in progress that has still not hit the strides for the standard that we hold Juventus to.
The other issue is this, that maybe a lot of Juventus, because the main argument, Thaigo Motta, Juventus, how are they doing? How's Thaigo Motta doing? What do you think? You have to understand also what you signed up for. Thaigo Motta is not rock and roll football like when we talk about Liverpool and we talk about Tottenham and we talk about Atalanta and maybe even Inter at times. He's not that. Look at what he did at Bologna. What he did at Bologna through balls, right? Let's look at a couple metrics that show verticality. Through balls, they've ranked 12th. Crosses, they ranked dead last in crosses. Bologna, they didn't cross the football. And Juventus as well now, 13th and 11th in through. So the verticality is not there, but this is also what Juventus signed up for. I don't know if the fans know that. Yes. I don't know if people understand that. Thaigo Motta ball is not vertical. It's not fast. It's not fun to watch. It's slow. It's mundane. It's sideways. It's backwards. And when you don't get the results, for me, I asked a couple of Juventus fans, I said, what is Juventus style play? When they had Pirlo, Marquinhos, Pogba, and they had all these different coaches, they had Conte, they had Allegri, what was their style of play? Their style of play is winning football matches. When you're at Juventus, you have to win football matches. And if you find yourself in December in 6th place, it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. That's the fact of the reality. It's not acceptable to win 6 football matches in December with the Juventus shirt.
And
that's the truth.
And I think Thaigo Motta himself, who has played football at the highest level, played under incredible pressure, understands that and has been the one to reinforce that and not made any excuses. That's first of all. Second of all, Grella makes an amazing point. And the biggest metric that you didn't mention there is that Bologna had the 3rd best defense in the league last year. They conceded 32 goals in 38 games. So people got excited because he's a younger coach, he's an Italian coach, and Bologna did put up some amazing results and scored amazing goals. But that's why Juventus went for him. They didn't go for Vincenzo Italiano, who is a very different style, and that was clearly on display in the match that we were all at. The expectation also for a lot of people was this Juventus is going to fight for the title because the name of Juventus, Del Piero said it on our air, you always need to be in the talk, in the conversation. But the reality is, how many people actually thought that this squad was going to fight for the title? I never thought that they would be there.
No, there's a difference between fighting for the title and being outside of Europe.
Is this a bit Allegri-ish?
They will finish in the top 5 and get Champions League football.
Of attacking football.
What's
Do you
that?
agree that this is a little bit better attacking football than under Max Allegri?
Absolutely.
Or are you saying that this is, I don't know, I
Not
can't
so
really
sure.
tell the
There's
difference?
more possession. There's more possession. I'm not so sure that you could say it's better or worse football. There's more possession.
So do you think this was a sideways move for Juventus so far?
They had to move to Thaigo Motta, but I just want to make sure people understand what they were getting when they got Thaigo Motta, because a lot of people expected fireworks.
So what's better about him then? If it's not more attacking and if it's still kind of very pragmatic, what makes it not a lateral move?
When you watch Allegri and he plays home games against the weakest teams in the league and in Torino, and they have 40% possession of the football, it makes you a little bit sick to watch those games also. So Thaigo Motta, sometimes he can boss the games, but then after a while, one shot on target against Roma, one shot on target against Napoli. They had to wait for an own goal against Lazio.
It's a touch
Poppy, they play with the ball more. This Juventus plays with the ball more, and you feel like Allegri's team was always an older team. Look at his roster over the 3 years with Juventus. It was older, more experienced players, so you didn't know where that team was going to go. With this, I see the pillars. I see the players that he's brought in from the next generation. I say they're performing. Yes, it's not clicked. Yes, it's not been perfect. Yes, it's not what we want, but I could see the signs of doing the right thing.
Do you know what I can't wait for? Juventus at the end of January or mid-January even, because they've got Milan in the Supercoppa semi-final, then they've got Atalanta, then they've got Milan again, Club Brugge, Napoli and Benfica.